When it comes to the issue of repealing the Affordable Care Act, oftentimes a lot of the news is targeted toward Republican members of Congress or Donald Trump. But the managing editor of the Young Turks, Jonathan Larson, did some digging and found out that a bipartisan congressional group known as the Problem Solvers Caucus is working together to repeal a pretty important part of the Affordable Care Act that was supposed to generate $29 billion in revenue over 10 years. Now, it's specifically in regard to the medical device tax. And the medical device tax was a 2.5% tax that was implemented on the sale of medical devices. And of course, those working in the medical device industry absolutely hated it. So what did they do? They got their money together and went after both Democratic and Republican members of Congress to try to get them to repeal that portion of the Affordable Care Act. Now, the 40 or so House members who formed the Problem Solvers Caucus earlier this year include a roughly equal number of Democrats and Republicans. They unveiled a healthcare reform plan, including the permanent repeal of a 2.3% tax on medical devices that was temporarily suspended under Obama, but is set to resume on January 1st. So January 1st is quickly approaching. They're realizing that the suspension is about to become undone. And so they're worried about it. And so they start spending even more money. And they're specifically targeting those who are part of this bipartisan congressional group. Now, members of the Problem Solvers Caucus, on average, received $10,051 during the campaign cycle for the 2016 elections, as opposed to non-members of the caucus who averaged $5,749. The numbers do not include members first elected in 2016 for whom complete data is not yet available. So just to give you a specific example, there's the co-chair of this bipartisan group, Tom Reed, who's a Republican from New York. He received a total of $25,650 from the industry during the 2016 cycle. Now I want to focus on one specific corporation that makes medical devices. It's known as Stryker. Now the Stryker CEO, Kevin Lobo, has appeared on national television calling the tax a killer of jobs and innovation. But a TYT report found that Stryker's own financial documents suggest the company enjoyed considerable growth and financial success while the tax was in place. After the tax was suspended, Stryker announced it would expand one Michigan facility and laid off 50 workers in the process. Now, I love this report. I think Larson did a really good job digging in and figuring out what's going on. Let's hear from Jonathan Larson. He'll give us a little more context into this Stryker story.
Stryker's claims about the jobs impact of the medical device tax began to shift and even contradict themselves even before the tax took effect. On November 10th, 2011, they issued a press release. This was 1 year before the tax was even going to go into effect. The press release said that Stryker was going to lay off 5% of its global workforce. They had about 22,000 employees at the time worldwide. So they were going to lay off 5% of their workforce. That was according to their November 10th, 2011 press release. The same day, however, they submitted a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission about that planned layoff. And the SEC, as you may know, has very strict requirements about the veracity of the statements that you make to them. And here's what they said about those layoffs in that SEC filing. They said, quote, "These actions are being initiated to provide efficiencies and realign resources following recent acquisitions to allow for continued investment in strategic areas in an ongoing challenging economic environment and market slowdown in elective procedures." Nowhere in the filing did they mention Obamacare or the medical device tax.
So they were gonna lay off people before this tax was even implemented. And then when the tax was implemented, they're like, look at what happened. This tax, we gotta fire these people. We gotta lay them off.
Yeah, so there's two parts of this story that I think John did a great job with, and thank you for helping us hire him. One is the idea.
You're welcome, by the way.
Okay. One is how much campaign donations they take. Conveniently, the guys who are fighting on behalf of these companies take twice as much as people who are on the other side. I know the people who believe that money in politics is awesome will say that's just a wild coincidence, total coincidence. And the chair of this Problem Solvers Caucus takes approximately 5 times as much. Another wild coincidence. So the second part of the story is Jonathan does a great job, and you should read it, and we'll have the link down below. And he's done a story on this before about what the companies say. So what he does is he'll show them on TV going, oh my God, this tax is gonna cost us so much jobs, it's a job killer. And then he'll show you that they bragged about how many jobs they created while the tax was in place. And then he'll reverse it, because this tax actually got paused under Obama.
Yeah.
So they stopped doing the tax, and they're like, great, this will allow us to create more jobs. And as you see, and he's got it documented one after another. And the time, and it's amazing actually, at the time they said, oh great, this will lead to more jobs, they fire people.
Right, right. And in fact, the money that they save from repealing the tax never goes toward hiring more people. In fact, he has shown in case after case that what usually happens is the executives of the given corporation will take the money that they've saved from taxes and then buy shares of their own company to increase the stock value. So it's about hoarding the money for themselves. They don't create more jobs. In fact, it usually leads to the opposite outcome.
Yeah, and let me talk about the opposite outcome, because the money when they do the stock buybacks mainly goes to the executives, okay? So that's the hoarding. But actually the other stuff is worse, because then will say, again in their SEC filings where they're not allowed to lie, on TV they can lie all day long, and on CNBC, Fox News, they're not gonna get challenged on those. In fact, they're not gonna get challenged on almost anywhere on cable news. In their SEC filings, they'll say, no, we're gonna use the money to consolidate, to do mergers and acquisitions, and so and to build more offshore.
That's right.
So when that means they're offshoring your jobs, and during mergers and acquisitions, they smush two companies together. One company said, oh, we created 100 jobs. You know why? They bought another company. So they didn't create the jobs, those 100 jobs came from the other company. In fact, they laid off 100 people from the company they acquired. Yeah. So Jonathan is exposing all of those lies. So this whole mythology of don't worry, give corporations tax cuts, and out of the goodness of their heart and because of economic forces, they'll create more jobs, is just not true. And by the way, there's one other person culpable here, and that's Chuck Schumer. And Chuck Schumer has AngioDynamics, a medical device maker headquartered in upstate New York. And a lot of these legislators will use this as an excuse, and some of them will earnestly believe it. Well, that's in my state, that's in my district, right? Also, they give me a lot of money, that part they leave out. Okay, and the fact that they're in their state leads them to have more incentive to donate to their local senator. And so Schumer was one of the guys who were saying, oh, medical device tax. On that one, I agree with the Republicans and Mitch McConnell. Of course, to his advantage, but not necessarily to the company's advantage. And that Problem Solvers Caucus with the Republicans and Democrats working together, the only problems they're solving is for their donors.
No. I have to elaborate a little more on what Schumer did, because it was so incredibly shady. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I guess I'm also still a little naive. So in September of 2016, appearing alongside future Problem Solvers member, Representative John Katko, a New York medical device maker, Welch Allen, Schumer said that suspending the tax played a pivotal role in the company's creation of 100 new jobs. But that's actually not what happened. In fact, the announcement came 1 year after the company's new owner laid off 100 workers as part of its acquisition of Welch Allen.
Well, at the time, I mean, that's what's so great about Jonathan's reporting too, is he shows you the timing of when they said these things and when they happened and everything. So, but in that November 10th thing at the very beginning, in a most pronounced way. But yeah, this is what politicians do. I mean, that's like 101. Go back to when they did hire. Doesn't matter that all those people have been let go since the acquisition, which I probably helped to facilitate in some way. And I don't know in that case. I'm speaking tongue in cheek. But yeah, that's how they operate. So when you go and you do this, get this kind of reporting, and this kind of reporting points this stuff out, it's really important. So read this and you'll see.
So good.
And understand that the things that you see on TV are talking points. Just because you saw it on TV doesn't mean that they're verified or that anybody actually checked those facts. And when you go to check the facts, you realize that a lot of it is propaganda. And the television companies, which take a ton of money from healthcare companies in advertising are happy to push that propaganda. The politicians who get a ton of money from donations from those same companies are happy to push that propaganda. But the minute you scratch the surface a little bit, you realize how false it is. And that's exactly what we're trying to expose here on the Young Turks. Support independent media. Come join us at the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.